Sorry, man. I was trying to stay out of people's way, and I ended up in it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were doing. I thought it was just standing in the way, I guess. Oh, well, hey, I can recreate it. That's interesting. Oh, cool.
Right.
Wow. Is that like an iPhone data product, or?
It's not just for the phone, it's for any phone.
So it's just a photography stabilizer kind of
So
thing?
it's a light, yeah, and then it just like helps you
Oh,
hold it.
cool.
Or you can also put it on a tripod on your
Yeah, sometimes the camera's just too small. Right?
All right, let's get started.
Hey, how are you this morning?
I think so. Is it on? Okay, there we go. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today at one of our newest Salt Lake County facilities that opened during COVID. This is the Draper Rec Center. I'd like to acknowledge some that are in attendance. We have Councilmember Albert here with us. And today we'll be hearing from Salt Lake County Watershed Manager Bob Thompson, as well as Mayor Wilson, and then Cynthia B., who's joining us from the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. So, Bob.
Okay, this is going to have to do.
I don't think you have to squat.
It's okay. I'm kind of used to it. It happens all the time. So I'm here to talk about some of the science that's informing policy here at Salt Lake County, and specifically I'm here to talk about water supply and snowpack. Some statistics that deal with those issues. Much of the Great Basin has experienced the driest 10-month period on record from April 2020 to December 2020. Snowpack in the Wasatch Mountain also in surrounding ranges is well below average currently, and our March and April snowpack numbers have only provided about 80% of what we expected for a normal snowpack. Our three-month temperature forecasts also predict a warmer than average spring. With those in mind, most of the Wasatch Front is considered to be in an exceptional drought, which is the most extreme kind of drought. The Salt Lake Valley and East Bench are considered to be in an extreme drought condition, which isn't as serious, but still very dry. Below average snowpack will also likely result in lower than average spring runoff flows in our streams and rivers, which means there will be less water available for lakes and reservoirs to fill. With all of these things in mind, water conservation is paramount to address the issues of water availability. Thank you, and now I believe the mayor is going to come and give some remarks.
Well, thank you, and thank you for celebrating Earth Day with us today. And I want to just point out that we are so lucky to be surrounded by these beautiful mountains, this desert landscape. But to preserve this, we need to manage our impact. And Salt Lake County has been doing just that, from building more sustainable new facilities to acting in a fiscally responsible manner as we update existing ones. But we can do more. We can do more at Salt Lake County, and we can do more as a community. Water conservation is critical to us, and we must lead by example. So we've dived into our current water use, and we've learned a few things. we've learned that we're doing well, but we can do more at Salt Lake County. And that we can make realistic change to our operations. So today, we're here to commit to cutting a minimum of 5% of our own water use in response to the worsening drought conditions. And as part of our new Salt Lake County H2O initiative, we also want to challenge all of our county residents to do the same, to take a look at their own actions and see if they can join us in finding ways to cut their own water use by 5%, at least. So we're here at this beautiful new rec center, and I have to just take a minute and say I'm so happy to see the pool up and running, our facilities in use. Came up the stairs and took a left instead of a right and almost joined a class in there. I was happy to see people safely exercising. We still are facing a pandemic in this community, but we are getting our facilities up and running as we do see declining cases, and that's very exciting, especially as we enter into the summer season. So happy to be here. And I just want to say, if just 25% of Salt Lake County residents reduce just 5% of their water use, we could collectively save about 2 million gallons of water every day. So what does that savings look like? 9 laps of pool water, like the one you see behind me. And we've compiled some ways to start at slcoh2o.org. And at this new website, you can find information about resources that'll help residents along their way, a challenge to residents. A resident can search for their own address and find their water district and their localized resources. We know that water policy is not simple, and that means that our consumers often don't really understand when they turn on that tap where their water's coming from. So this is a great tool to help them, each resident in the county, have access to better water resource information. And saving water doesn't mean to be hard. It can actually be quite easy. You don't have to overhaul your lifestyle, you just have to make some tweaks to how you do things. I think for those of us who have kids like me, it's better educating your kids. It's awareness of when your tap is on. It's awareness of the length of your showers. It's awareness of your sprinkler system actions primarily. I think one of the things that is probably the most easy to do is really adjust your watering. I think we're getting better as a community, but we can make even further progress there. So with that, I'd like to introduce Cynthia B. From the Jordan Valley Water Conservation District. And while she comes up, I do want to thank Councilmember Alvord for coming. I see Councilmember Arlen Bradshaw here as well, and Sam Clem's here from the council office. Oh, and I see Councilwoman Laurie Stringham. We at Salt Lake County recognize that we're in this together, and I really appreciate your engagement, members of the council, and thank you for taking the time today on this important subject matter. Cynthia.
So most homeowners are really surprised to learn that about 65% of your total water use for the entire season is used outdoors in your landscape. Average daily use in April should be 0. Our landscapes don't actually need us to be watering them just yet. Mother Nature is going to continue to provide water for us. And the longer you can stretch that out before you start watering your yard, the healthier your landscape's going to be, which is completely counterintuitive. But this is the time of year to train your turf. Let it stretch those roots out and grow a little bit deeper, and you will actually create a landscape that is more resilient and able to handle whatever we're going to have thrown at us this summer. Weather in Utah is highly unpredictable, and so it just makes sense. This is the time when that resilience really gets built. Once it is time to begin regular watering later in May, just watering one less time per week. Your lawn is never going to need water every single day, not even in July. So giving it your landscape what it needs, but not more than it needs, is how we create efficient and healthy, strong landscapes that can sustain, the worst of whatever a Utah summer is going to throw at us. I'm happy to provide more help and assistance through local scapes and through which you can find on the Salt Lake County website, for the Salt Lake Co. H2O website. There are resources and links there, and we're happy to help you do more. But at a minimum, just watering one less time. It's not very often that doing less is actually the answer to a problem. So just, wait to water, and once you do, one less time per week, your lawn will thank you for it. Thank you.
So I'll facilitate questions. If they're too technical, I'm going to call for backup.
Yeah, this might be a question for Cynthia. Could you stand up here again, please?
Sure.
Thank you. So, a lot of us think that over the last couple of decades, we've already pared down to as few days as we could water. So, if I'm already down to 3 times a week, and I turn it off a day when it rains, what are some other ways that we can really reduce that? I understand that the outdoors where we can really make the
Right.
greatest savings, rather than other things indoors. So what kind of recommendations, or how else can we really tighten
So-
that in if we think that we're already down to
Right.
2.5 or 3 days a week?
Yeah, so other things that we can do is we need to change the way we think of lawn. Lawn is a recreation surface. It's for places where you're actively going to use it and play and enjoy it. But most of us, lawn isn't bad, we're just using it badly. So there's no reason to have lawn in park strips. Side yards are generally just a pass through from the front to back. So you can look at places that you've got lawn that's not really serving a purpose. Anywhere you have lawn that's less than 8 feet wide, irrigation isn't as efficient in those little small strips and areas. And so, in fact, we often apologize to people in our classes that they'll never be able to look at lawn the same way again. They'll always notice the awkward bits. So that's what we're hoping to see people kind of reduce, some of those areas. So keep it where you're using it for active play, that's fine. But, if the only time that you see a certain part of your lawn is when you're pushing the mower, there's probably something else you could do there that would provide you a greater benefit for your family and provide better recreation.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Cynthia? All right. Any questions for me or Bob or anybody?
I think I had a question for Bob.
Bob, come on up.
And I don't think you have to squat if you don't want to, Bob.
Fair enough.
So you started off by telling us, we're in the driest 10-month period. Go through that top stat that you shared with us at the beginning, please.
Sure, yeah. So here at Salt Lake County, we run a network of 42 stream and precipitation gauges, which measure how much water is falling from the sky and running through our rivers. And from April of 2020 till December of 2020, according to those gauges, we had the driest 10-month period in our period of record. So we had very little precipitation falling from the sky, and conversely, we had very little precipitation very little water running through our streams as a result of that.
All right, we've got one more. Deputy Mayor Catherine Cantor's going to read a couple of points.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to add to the excellent points that Cynthia made in response to the question of what can Salt Lake County residents do. And this really ties into our theme of if you just do a little, we can save a lot. And on our website that we've set up, there's actually 5 little items that you can work on. They're actually listed on this poster right here, and they're tips. First one is, we've already spoken to it, if you just didn't water your lawn 1 day a week, you could save 10% of your water consumption. Of course, our challenge to ourselves and to the county is just to reduce by 5%. So if you just thought about that, watering every other week, 1 day less, you could get to that 5% threshold. Another idea is water at night. Don't water during the height of the day when the soil is dry and it evaporates more. Another simple one is we call it get a broom or get a leaf blower. The idea here is don't actually use a hose to water off your driveway. Use a broom or a leaf blower. That's will obviously save water. Another idea, I think the mayor mentioned it earlier, is just to be cognizant of where your sprinkler system is set up. If it's watering cement, that's a waste of water. So let's focus on actually watering the grass. And then the last one is this idea of drought-resistant landscaping. That one takes a little bit more effort, but not a lot. There's tons and tons of drought-resistant plants and flowers that are beautiful available here in Utah at your local nursery. I know Cynthia's group also has a link to how you can actually smartly basically attempt to xeriscape and invest in drought-resistant landscaping. So those are just some ideas for the public to consider. Thanks.
Any final questions? Great, thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.